Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Tinker, a hero for Dorks. Tinker is a ranged intelligence support hero commonly played as a position 4, and every single one of his abilities is designed to make you mildly upset. When combined, they're designed to make you rage. March of the Machines is a powerful area denial spell as well as a farming tool that can also become a very good heal with the right facet, and for playing Tinker as a support, you're going to be picking that facet. Defense Matrix is a physical damage blocking ability that works on all units, and it also is one of the single best sources of status resistance in the entire game. Laser is a single target blind that also does a huge chunk of pure damage, mitigating any kind of defensive stats you've accumulated throughout the game. And Warp Flare, his Aghanim Shard, makes it so that as soon as you get on him, you actually didn't, and now he's over there. All of these don't sound that frustrating on their own, but it's important to know about his other two abilities. Keen Conveyance is a channeled teleport ability that basically works like BOTs. When he hits level 6, he can use it to go to towers, then at level 12, he can use it to go to creeps, then at level 18, he finally gets bots too and can go to friendly heroes. This spell benefits quite a bit from Rearm, his ultimate, which allows him to refresh the cooldowns of all his abilities after a very short channel. This makes him a hero that can effectively ignore the entire mechanic that we call cooldowns, which is very fair and balanced. He can be anywhere on the map casting any of these spells in succession at any time. He also might sound familiar. This is because he shares the exact same voice actor as Dr. Kleiner from the Half-Life series. In fact, there are some lore junkies who believe that he might even be Dr. Kleiner transported to the Dota world. I don't know about that, but some people believe it. First, let's talk about March of the Machines. This is arguably Tinker's single most important ability since his rework back in 7.36. This is an area denial spell that summons a ton of robots to march towards wherever you direct them to, and if you go the facet repair bots, it will heal all friendly units on the way. At early levels, it only heals about 140, which is still quite notable for the lane, and then later scales up to 350. Notably, it does not stack from multiple casts of March of the Machines, but that's okay. It's still really, really good. In addition to area denial and healing, it also functions as an amazing farm tool. If you play Tinker, you're going to get very familiar with those two medium camps hanging out by the Dire Tier 2 tower. One March of the Machines cast and a couple of right-click aggros can bring both camps in, allowing you to farm very efficiently and making your offlaner, who still doesn't have a Blink Dagger yet, very upset. However, if you're the kind of player to pick Tinker, you don't really care about that guy, so it's alright. Another big notable use is how it affects the high ground situation. When you're attempting to take high ground, it allows your entire team to shrug off tower hits and keeps the creep wave alive against enemy nukes and harassment. As for the opponent's high ground, it does the same thing in the opposite direction. You can stack it up several times to absolutely obliterate the creep wave and crush any hope they have of walking up to deal chip damage to your tier 3. It also allows your team to take a more aggressive position since they know they're going to be constantly healed by March as they do it. Somehow this manages to be Tinker's most useful ability while also managing to be his least annoying, but don't worry, he'll make up for it later. Now cooldowns are a very important part of Dota 2. Almost every ability, no matter how broken it can be in the right context, is limited by it, and even items like Octarine Core and Refresher can't completely eliminate the problem. However, this issue does not apply to Tinker. Rearm, which is his ultimate, allows him to continually cast all of his spells as long as he can get the Rearm channel off. This allows him to stack up March of the Machine several times and apply Defense Matrix to multiple friendly heroes. Most importantly, when you use Mantis Isle to get rid of the laser blind, he can immediately apply it again. As soon as you see Tinker cast a spell, don't even bother trying to track the cooldown. He's going to be casting it in a couple seconds again no matter what you do. However, Rearm has one key weakness that was only added to the game a couple of number patches ago, and that is the fact that it does not refresh items. Surely that puts the kibosh on any kind of fun he could have, right? Nah, see, he's got this innate called Eureka, because he's a nerd, that reduces his item cooldowns by 1% for every 3 intelligence you have with a maximum of 60% CDR. Keep in mind that he starts the game with 30 int, giving him 10% CDR right off the bat. Trying to track this hero's cooldowns is akin to trying to track ultis in Deadlock. Just give up. If it happens, it happens. Notably, Rearm does have the weakness of, if you're able to cancel his channel, he doesn't get it off, and his abilities stay on cooldown. As for the item CDR, you can't really do anything about it. He's going to be able to tread switch way faster than you no matter what you do, and you're just going to have to live with that fact. Luckily for us all, he tends to go Arcane Boots, which mitigates that potential ridiculous skill ceiling. Now, if all of this sounds appealing to you, fuck you. Anyway, here's how to play him. I'm assuming you're going position 4, which means you're going to be starting in the off lane. You pair up pretty well with pretty much any position 3, but note that you're not particularly good at killing. Heroes that can just sit there and farm and have a good time, like Underlord or Centaur Warrunner, are your best bets to pair up with. Tinker's strongest ability in the lane is to effectively create a loophole by utilizing March of the Machines and sentry wards. Try to block the opponent's small camp and keep it blocked as well as you can. Then, try to make sure that you have your medium camp. As long as you do, you can use March of the Machines to push the enemy lane forward, securing last hits for your position 3, and then drag your own creep wave over to the medium camp. If the enemy team tries to interact, you can once again cast March of the Machines to protect it. You can start this loop as early as level 1, and you can continue it for a shockingly long time, because it is very difficult to fight into March early on in the game. Keep in mind that as long as you're doing this, you're healing not only yourself, but your position 3 as well. As long as you have access to sentry wards and mana regen, you can keep this going and make the enemy lane's life a living hell for pretty much the entirety of the lane. Once you get into the early mid-game situation, Tinker actually has a lot of problems because he needs a ton of defensive items and utility. To solve this problem, steal farm from your cores. Go over to those 2 camps by the offlane tier 2 I talked about earlier, hit March, aggro them in, and farm it up as well as you can. Your offlaner might get upset because you already stole a ton of last hits using March in the laning phase, but don't worry about him. He can go farm between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers and die. You're a Tinker player. You don't particularly care about his feelings. Outside of farming the jungle, you can also farm lanes using Keen Conveyance and March of the Machines. It has a very large cast AoE that you can use from the trees, which means you'll never even show up on the enemy minimap. They'll have to move their camera over manually, hear that dumbass song that plays whenever you use it, and then alert their team. However, by the time they've bought the smoke and TP'd in to track you down, you're already across the map, doing the exact same thing all over again. Later on, once you have a couple of items like Force Staff, Blink Dagger, Aether Lens, Glimmer Cape, the usual suspects, you can finally start joining in on team fights. Cast March of the Machines as many times as you can get away with, and try to spam Defense Matrix on whatever hero is going to be taking damage. Keep in mind that Rearm does offer a moment of vulnerability where you can't cast spells, and if it's interrupted, you won't be able to keep casting Defense Matrix. So, try to find somewhere safe and stay there. Positioning is really important on this hero, and as much as I hate to admit it, March of the Machines has a giant range for a reason. Assuming March is on the ground and you have shields on your positions 2 and 3, pop laser on the enemy carry as much as you can. Once you frustrate the carry enough, he's going to dive into the trees to try to get you. Hope that you didn't piss your team off too much that they won't come to your defense when he does so. Now, this is just a bit of a quick aside, and I'm going to go on a bit of a tirade here. 7.36 was one of the greatest patches in all of Dota history, specifically because of what it did to Tinker. If you're not familiar, Rearm used to not only refresh all of his abilities, but also all of his items, and that led to some really ridiculous shit. The first one is that if he was mechanically skilled enough, and if he was picking Tinker, he probably was, he could spam Rearm and Blink Dagger to get guaranteed blinks out of damn near anything. It was really difficult to kill Tinker if you weren't able to chain stun him all the way to death. And, in addition to that, he could go a little item called Scythe of Vice. And this item, when combined with Rearm, could make you a sheep forever. He could literally sheepstick loop you for like a minute at a time, because his mana pool would get so insanely high, and his mana regen so insanely high, that the only limiting factor was vision. So he could use Blink to chase you, and then cast Sheepstick over and over and over again. And also, he had an ability called Heat-Seeking Missiles. If you think that March of the Machines is tough to high ground into, you have never seen what Tinker used to be. The full fat version of this hero could sit in Fountain and spam rockets over and over and over again. And this would hit multiple heroes, deal a shitload of magical damage, and force you to go away before you even started hitting the tower. This hero was messed up, and the game had a ton of special rules to deal with it, but I won't talk about it here. All I know is that 7.36 will go down in my personal Hall of Fame for Dota patches because of what it did to this little shit. Anyway, that rant I just did wasn't enough, so I also wrote a giant wall of text about it. Feel free to read it if you like. Now, if you're having a tough time against Stinker, and frankly I don't blame you at all, here's a couple of ways that I've learned over the years to deal with him. The first thing is finding a way to deal with laser. If you are a core hero who primarily interacts with right clicks, you need to find a way to deal with the blind. If the Tinker is good and positioned properly, he can have it on you basically all the time. The most obvious thing to do is to buy some kind of dispel that can be useful in other ways. Satanic and Manta Style are the obvious choices, but because of his ability to reapply it, Monkey King Bar is oftentimes the correct solution. Bloodthorn is also a good choice because it allows you to have True Strike on whatever target you've affected with it. Sometimes that target can even be Tinker himself, which I would highly recommend. On top of that, cores that can both buy Bloodthorn and also get on top of Tinker are an excellent solution for dealing with him. Anti-Mage is an obvious choice. As soon as you see the Tinker, you can blink on him and then run him down, utilize that giant mana pool against him, and then also Spectre's a really good choice. Shadow Step allows her to get on top, and then Shadow Dagger allows her to chase him through the trees. As good as Defense Matrix's status resistance is, it doesn't do anything for the shadow path left behind by the dagger, so you can just chase him down and hope you kill him. Lastly, Visage, if you play him, is an excellent choice against Tinker. The birds have flying movement, which allows them to go through the trees and chain stun him, which is really important for canceling Rearm. You're also excellent at buying Bloodthorn, so you don't have to worry as much about the laser, plus you have 3 units whacking him, so laser isn't even that big of a deal in the first place. Really, just being able to jump on the Tinker and kill him before he gets the ball rolling is the best way to deal with him. Oh, and his split pushing, very difficult to deal with, very annoying. It's very easy for him to get map control once the tier 1 towers start falling. So, if you have ways of instantly clearing out creep waves, that's a good thing to do. Lena can use her spell combos, Sven can go in and hit it with Cleave and an Echo Saber. There's plenty of ways to do it. Just as long as you have a way to flash push lanes, try to do it as often as you can against Tinker. In conclusion, Tinker is a very annoying hero, but you can play him as long as you're not playing against me. Every time I go to bed, I pray to God thanking him that I was not a Tinker spammer before 7.36. Then I thank Gaben for domesticating the most annoying hero in all of Dota 2. Peace on planet Earth.